G'day, welcome back to the channel. My name's Matt, but you'll know me as WFX Malice. Today I'm going to be talking to you about private or local IP addresses and the common mistakes people make when assigning those addresses. Let's get started. For those of you who follow my channel, you'll know I just recently rebuilt my server. I did a video about a week or so ago about setting the IP addresses on virtual switches for Hyper-V with pfSense. During that video, I did say I was going to do an extended version of the video to give you a little bit more info. However, I didn't want to just regurgitate the same information and chew your ear off for longer, giving you that same information I've already told you. So instead, I thought I'd break this up. A few people are asking me about IP addressing. They're saying, what's all these different IP addresses? Why are we assigning them? And what do they mean? Well, considering I've just rebuilt my whole network, and I've been going crazy with IP addressing on all my devices, I thought, why not start there? Let's start with the basics. Private IP addressing. What is an IP address? What makes an IP address? Static IP versus dynamic IP. Reservations versus leasing. And how to properly configure a static IP address on one of your devices. So, what makes an IP address? An IP address is made up of 4 bunches of numbers separated by a decimal place, but we don't call them bunches of numbers. We call them octets. They're called octets because they're made up of 8 bits of binary. Now, before you click skip, I'm not going to make this a binary lesson. I just want to show you this just so you get a bit of an understanding of what's happening in the background. If you look at this table, nice and easy to follow, each bit, either on or off, is represented by a number in the column. 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, and 1. Add those all up and they equal 255. Sound familiar? Perhaps in your subnet mask, 255.255.255.0. If we look further along the chart, we can see that obviously all zeros equal 0, and some common makeups of IP addresses, 10.0.0.100. We can see how that comes across by binary on and off. So what's a private IP address? Private IP addresses, or local IP, is made up of a couple of ranges that are reserved for you guys to be able to use on your home or work networks. One I like to use is 10.0.0.0. So now you know what an IP address is, and you know what ranges are available to use on your local network. How do you allocate them? This is done by 3 methods. The first 2 use Dhcp server, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. This thing normally lives on your router. You might have a separate server, if you're in a workplace, it's probably on your router. And the third method uses manual. So the first one is called dynamic. This hands out a predefined pool of numbers to each device that joins your network. This is done on a lease time. So if your device leaves the network for a certain amount of time, that number gets scratched, that number gets handed out to the next device that joins. So think of your DHCP server as a security guard. Every time someone walks into the building, he hands them a uniquely numbered pass. Says, there you go, that's your number, you sign in. If you're just going outside, perhaps you're just going out and grab a bite to eat, you're grabbing something out of the car, you keep that pass, you keep that number. But if you're leaving for the weekend, if you're going off site, maybe you're going away, maybe you're quitting, you hand that pass back in. That number then gets handed on to the next device that joins. The second method is automatic. Now this is, as an administrator, you predefine numbers for each device. So you might have common devices that always connect to that network. So you're going to go into the DHCP server and you're going to allocate an IP address to the MAC address, which is the physical address on your device, so that every time that device connects, it gets that same number. And think of this as the employee working at this building. So the security guard comes in. He doesn't need to keep giving you a pass every time you walk in. You don't need to keep signing in on the book every time you walk in and out the door. You've got your own swipe card. You're VIP. You just walk in, swipe that card, through you go. No one's getting your number ever until you quit. You can go on holidays. You can go away as long as you want. Come back. That IP address, that's mine. Get out of my way. You're in my car park. The third method is manual. It's not really the right way to do things. People paint themselves into a corner very easily. I suppose it works on a small network. If you've only got a couple of devices, no problems. It'll get you out of trouble in a pinch, but it's not the right way to do it. This is where you go into your Windows settings and you go into set an IP address through the network settings so that your computer tells your DHCP server, hey, give me this number. That's great. until it's already handed that number out to someone else. See? So you've got your DHCP server automatically handing out dynamic addresses, but you want to be able to connect a couple of devices together. Maybe you want to map network drives, maybe you want a remote desktop connect, or perhaps you want to set up some port forwarding for a game or game server. You're going to need a static IP address to do this. You want the same number on that device every time it connects. It's like going into the office and say your boss changing his phone number on his desk phone every time he walks in. How are you going to call him? So let's start with the wrong way. Everybody loves doing things the wrong way. Go onto the device, whether it be a smartphone, tablet, laptop, printer, games console, TV, go into the network settings and just type your network settings in manually. It'll get you out of trouble in a pinch, and I guess it can help with troubleshooting. If you've set up your DHCP pool address correctly, I guess you're not going to get any conflicts, but you'll end up with a messy network and you'll end up painting yourself in a corner further down the track. Every device has an IP address nowadays. So, Windows 10, they've changed this a few times over the years, so I'll run you through it. First thing you're going to want to do is right-click down the bottom on your network settings, choose your device, Wi-Fi or Ethernet, scroll down to IP settings, click Edit, and go to Manual IPv4. Type in your IP address. In this case, I've gone with 10.0.0.110. Subnet length is 24, which is 255.255.255.0. Set your default gateway, in this case 10.0.0.1, and set in your preferred DNS. You don't have to set in your DNS. I've gone with Cloudflare's here, which is quad 1 or 1.1.1.1, and secondary is 1.0.0.1. Go ahead and use them if you want. Do a quick ping across the network, make sure things work, do an IP config, and confirm that you do have the IP address. Next method is one that hasn't changed since, I don't know, Windows 7. It's pretty much the same thing. Go down to your start menu, type in control panel, and go to your control panel, go to network and sharing center, click on change adapter settings. Now click on the device, whether it's Ethernet or Wi-Fi, choose properties and go down to Internet Protocol version TCP IPv4 and choose use the following IP settings. Same as last time, 10.0.0.110, 255.255.0, which is a /24 subnet mask, and default gateway 10.0.0.1. And once again, I'm using Cloudflare's preferred DNS 1.1.1.1, 1.0.0.1. And before I go and save that, I'm just going to do a quick IP config just to confirm. See, we've got 10.0.0.16. We'll go and save this. Now it'll take a few seconds. So the first time I do this, we don't get an IP address. It's saying, hang on, I'm waiting for the DHCP to respond. Refresh it, and there you go, 10.0.0.10. Now, the correct method. You want to go onto your DHCP server. So if this is on your router, you want to go into the router's config page. If you're not sure what that is, it's your default gateway entered into your web browser. So do an IP config and find out what your default gateway is. Type that in, so 10.0.0.1 in my case. Every router is going to be slightly different. So this is going to change depending on your device. But basically you want to be looking for your LAN settings and you want to be looking for something to do with DHCP. In there's going to be a start IP or pool range. For this particular router, this is done on a router emulator. It's predefined the network range because it already knows what the network range is and allows me just to change the end setting. So as you can see, it's given me a range of 192.168.1.155 to 192.168.1.254. Now I've set the lease time at 2,880 minutes, which is 48 hours. Then you can see there's a button there called Dhcp Reservation. Now, once again, this is going to be different on each individual router. But if we go onto there, we can assign ourselves a IP address to the MAC address. Now, different routers will allow you to have a drop-down list. So once your device is connected, it knows the MAC address, so you don't have to go and type that in. If you're not sure what your MAC address is on your device, go into ipconfig/all. So that's ipconfig /all. This will show you a MAC address for your network card. Each individual network card is going to have its own MAC address. So you're going to have a different one for Wi-Fi as you are for Ethernet. Keep that in mind. Well, I think I have just about talked your ear off regarding IP addresses, static and dynamic. I'm not going to go on any more. Hopefully you've learned something from this. If you haven't, I have failed miserably and I should just delete my channel. But you're all going to hit that thumbs up and you're going to subscribe and tell me how much you love this. If you do have a different sort of router and you can't work out how to get into your DHCP, throw me a comment down below and I'll try and find one of the emulators and I'll help you through it if I can. If I can't, bad luck. Suffer through it on your own. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.